Item number 5, discussion on truck traffic on Oklahoma Boulevard. As you can see printed on the agenda, public comments will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. The speaker must identify himself or herself. And do you have a representative, or would you like to speak individually? Who would like to be first?
I'm Miranda Lale. I live up on Oklahoma Boulevard, and as we all know, I had a tragedy up there this last week. The trucks go through Oklahoma Boulevard very fast. I have a business driveway. When I am coming from the west, headed east, turn into my driveway, I have to pay attention to my rearview mirror, or they will rear end you. So I have to go right on past my driveway. It happened a week and a half ago, and my husband was with me, and he didn't believe me until that day, because the truck was not able to get over into the right-hand lane. They do go through town. I had 3 of them racing through town at 6 o'clock this morning. They do not slow down. They do not care what car is in front of them. They do not care what car is beside them. I know that there was a lot that happened. We lost a very good friend up there. They just do not watch. So I would like to either say, can we lower the speed limit, because it is 40 miles an hour right there at the top of our hill. We do get it to where motorcycles do hit the top of our hill, even at that, trying to coast on down the boulevard. But, if anything, we could lower that speed limit, maybe we could get some of these truckers to slow down.
Well, certainly that accident occurred very close to home, didn't it?
15 feet from my house.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Just that if we could reroute the trucks or slow them down a little bit, if we could have, if someone just wanted to come up and sit in my driveway in my office, I was just glad that we were not in the house at the time. Because, like I say, they go through there just a speeding and chasing each other. And I realize it's not just trucks, but 3/4 of it is.
Thank you. And your time is up. Who would like to be next?
I am Jill Ledoux, and I'm sure most of you know me. I was sitting up on by 4th Street getting ready to go into the car wash today. Now, by the time the trucks get to 4th Street, they seem to be slowed down. But I'll tell you, some of these cute little things and these cute little automobiles are driving like maniacs in and out of the traffic, going way too fast. They may be college students. I don't know, but they are driving way too fast. And if someone stopped or had to turn, they'd be running over them. I agree with the truck traffic. Yes, there is a lot of truck traffic, and especially when they're coming from the east, they're moving. And I agree, we need to do something. And a light at 281 and 64, I think, would help. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Before I call on someone else, I'd like to read an email that I received from Dr. Charles Gassaway. On the day Bob Ellis was killed, I observed 2 semi-trailer rock trucks run through a red light at the College Street intersection, one right behind the other at a high rate of speed. If the woman waiting on College Street to enter the highway had not been paying very close attention, there would have been at least one more fatality in Alva that day. In the past month, I have been passed by 2 young people driving pickups on the boulevard at a very high rate of speed. They passed me like I was sitting still, and I usually push the limit myself. On both occasions, it occurred to me that it has been a long time since I have seen a patrol car on the boulevard. Maybe I have just not been there at the right time, or maybe we need to concentrate a little more on the busiest road in Alva, especially with all the trucks using it. Thanks for your consideration. Who would like to be next? Okay, Chief, would you like to make a comment?
Well, I'm sure there's a problem. Now, to what extent? Because we all know that a large moving vehicle, if they're doing the speed limit or a little bit above that, they look like they're really in excess of it. Now, how much over that, I can't honestly say. So, I'm not saying there's not a problem. Unfortunately, a lot of times, we may not have the personnel to devote to that. And I guess that's basically all I have to say.
Okay. Anyone else before we move on? Janie.
I'm Janie Gould, and I live up by the hospital. Go through that T intersection at Garnett's multiple times a day, to and from work, lunch, whatever. Almost every day I see a truck run that red light. One day in particular, I was behind this dinky little Pontiac car. Our light turned green. The little girl sat there, and I thought, she's texting, fixing her hair, whatever. I heard this noise, looked to the east, and it was a semi accelerating to beat the light. When he went through our intersection, I looked up, and our light had turned red. And I thought, how far back was he when his light turned red and accelerated so he did not have to stop? And I know the cops are doing a great job, can't be everywhere, but it's getting dangerous with them running the red lights.
Thank you. Anyone else? This is your opportunity to comment. You're being videotaped. You'll be on the Community Access Television Network.
Gordon,
Yes.
if we could, we might make a little explanation of what the city council has asked the state highway department about a light at the corner of Lane and Oklahoma Boulevard.
This would be a good time to talk about
Right,
that.
right. If Joe Don, you're familiar with the results from that survey they did?
Yes, if you'll remember, the stoplight on 281-64 is that originally the survey results were not very positive. A few weeks back, I reported that we had moved from 15 to number 4. Today I received another email from them. We're still moving up the list. So it looks like a project that is going to happen with the State Department. We are going to have to come up with our portion of the match money, which will either be, depending on if we go with loops or video detection for signal changes, 20 to 25% of the cost, which is a doable deal. But that's going to be 20 to 25% of $150,000 to $175,000. But the timing of it is probably 6 to 8 months out. So we're going to be looking at 6 to 8 months out before they bid the project. It'll be a Oklahoma Department of Transportation project. Won't be a City of Alva project. We'll just pay over our money, and then the Department of Transportation will do it and install that. The City of Alva does have some responsibilities as far as acquisition of some easements if needed, some maintenance after the project's completed. But it looks like that project, as far as the light system, is going to happen right now.
Who has jurisdiction of the speed limits on Oklahoma Boulevard?
My understanding is that the Oklahoma Department of Transportation has the jurisdiction of speed limits on highways. We can ask them to do a speed study now, and I do not have a problem with requesting that, and we can probably make recommendations. But it's my understanding that they are the final say in what the speed limit is. Okay. Then heaven forbid they decide that the speed should be 45 instead of 35, They could raise the speed limit.
Who has jurisdiction of the signal lights on the highway?
What do you mean signal lights?
The stoplights that are currently in place? Because we all know that a vehicle at rest is more damaging to the streets and the road structures than a vehicle that is traveling. And currently, we stop all the traffic on city streets instead of stopping them. If we were to divert and convert all of those stoplights to default back to red on Oklahoma Boulevard, that would break up the flow of traffic some so that we're not seeing series of 30 trucks in a row getting all the way through town. They would be busted up into smaller groups. Those citizens that are trying to access or cross Oklahoma Boulevard would have more opportunity to do that, and the damage and wear and tear on the city streets is then transferred out to a state-owned highway.
I mean,
that the state gets to
the state maintains the highway.
So stoplights, do we regulate where they default to?
That I do not know.
And I guess the chief may, Chief, would that create additional problems, or would that improve anything if we were to break those into groups and have the green lights be the north and south default and the red light be the highway to bust them up?
I don't know, I think there's pros and cons to both ways on that. Which way's better, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, it would seem to me that it'd be a lot slower on Oklahoma Boulevard if you had to stop your semi-truck full of rock every 2 blocks and go through all those gears to get back to speed. And if you knew, hey, when I get to Alva, I'm going to hit red lights, pretty guaranteed that I'm going to run into a red light, I'm going to go ahead and shut down a little bit before I get in there.
Or a slower speed limit.
Yeah.
But another thing that we discussed, and this city council has discussed this for years on a truck route, alternate truck route. But I think it's my understanding that state highway like that, you can't, unless the state highway department has an alternate truck route built, I don't think you can divert truck traffic on state highway.
Well, and our commerce corridor really doesn't want traffic to be diverted around town.
Right. But, I mean, that was brought up there, and, so.
I'd like to know, I mean, if we could ask them to do the speed study and ask them to, I mean,
And it
if
makes
we have
sense.
jurisdiction
I mean,
of
it
the
makes
lights,
sense to have a speed study done because I mean, right now we've we've got a highway. I mean, we've extended our commerce out to the. I mean, thinking about it, we've extended our commerce out to the hotels, and it's 65 out there, or 55 out there. We can talk. I can contact them and see what it'd take to have a speed study, traffic study done throughout the city of Alva on the highways.
Could we also have the safety committee come up with a list of recommendations for speeds that they think?
And to recommend to ODOT?
So we have something to give them that if we have control of the speed limits, what we might have in mind.
it is, I'm forgetting, one of the two, either streets and alley or public safety is having the,
Public safety is meeting tonight, and they are doing a streets traffic flow study.
okay. Yeah, we have emergency personnel looking at the traffic flow, so I was just trying to make sure the right committee was.
Yeah. Public safety is having a traffic flow study done, and they are meeting tonight and looking for an update from that committee, and that can be part of it.
Well, start the discussion, but I don't
Yeah.
think they will figure it out that quick. No offense to the city.
Okay, Jewel, I see you again.
Well, sitting up there this evening, I noticed that on 4th Street, the light never changes to green for the people coming from the north to get on Oklahoma Boulevard until there is a vehicle parked there. The vehicle stops there and on the red light. Well, this other traffic is going whiz, whiz, whiz. And coming from the east, hey, coming off of Highway 11, there is nothing to slow them down when they get to 4th Street. And if it's green, it's just go right on straight through. But those lights do not change unless there's a vehicle at that corner. And you might keep that in mind.
They do hit the top of our hill. And you would think going up that hill would slow them down, but it doesn't. Because I could sit there in my house and hear them revving it up to go up the hill going really fast. That way they can coast on down, and they still don't slow down. Because there's nothing from 281 to 4th Street to slow them. All I can say is I was just glad that it went veered to one way and not into Horsonic, where maybe there had been some high school kids.
Very, very true. Or taking subway clear off the map.
Yeah.
Of course, that was a medical emergency, and that could happen. Certainly hope it never does again, but it could. Anything else? If not, we'll move on to our next agenda item. Looks like we have some action planned on this, and we'll be reporting to you at a later time.